All right, guys. I just want to do a quick midday recap before we break for lunch. It's looking like things are slowing down quite a bit out there, so we'll probably take an hour to refresh and refocus, and then go start looking to attack some trades into the close. As for today's morning action, I just wanted to cover DVAX while it's fresh in my mind, as we just covered out of that a little while ago. So, guys, I mean, this is a pretty straightforward play, actually, and this is just a really good example of why yesterday I spent most of the afternoon just watching. We knew that the main thing for me yesterday was I knew I didn't want to get involved in this one when it was in this range. Okay, so this is not an exciting place for the stock to be. We talked a little bit yesterday about 2 p.m. moves and what we're looking for. So if it breaks down to 2 p.m. through 80, then great. We're looking for continuation towards 35 or lower. When it didn't follow through into the close yesterday, it was an obvious, down here, it was an obvious point to reconsider it, and just consider the fact that, hey, maybe this is just going to stay in a range all day. And all I knew was I wasn't interested in trading this stock yesterday afternoon unless we were either breaking over 1640 with volume or breaking under 1580 with volume. So I ended up doing nothing with this yesterday afternoon. Which actually led to today's trade. The plan today was in pre-market, as I explained, was really the same as yesterday. I was typically just looking for a range break on this one to get a trade in. So the idea I was looking for was a short through 1580. But the way that I actually played this one was I kind of missed that initial wash and ended up entering on a bounce at 1590, and I still find it's a little more difficult to time these entries on 5-cent tickers like DVAX here. I find it a little more difficult to time them, obviously, as precise as we do on regular 1-cent spread stocks, for example. But I've been working on some different things where I'll add a little bit at each level and kind of have to sort of, instead of trying to take it all at one price, which I often do, I might have like an order at 90, an order at 95, and an order at 16, and just spread out. So the amount that I would normally take at 95, just because it's hard to say, am I going to get filled at 90? If I don't put an order at 90, if I put my order at 95, maybe I don't get filled at 95 and miss the whole trade. So it's definitely a lot more difficult to get the precise entries, but we've been doing actually quite good with them. Again, I still think that with the 5-cent tickers, it does kind of skew the risk reward a little bit. You need to sort of adjust the way you're trading them, considering that each tick is 5 cents. So obviously the way that you'd normally take risk on a 10-cent trade, you're not going to do it the same on one of these 5-cent tickers, because you need to probably give it a little more room, typically than 10 or 15 cents. But in this case, actually the plan was a short 1590. My max stop would have been a 1605 break, but really I was just looking for... when it hit 16 the first time and then it tested it the second time, I probably would have stopped if it broke. But it was basically a 10 or 15 cent max risk trade, and we were just looking for it to roll back under 80 and continue this trend. And man, did it ever run. This was a really nice trade. These are the kinds of trades that we wait for, and this is the reason why, yesterday we make some good trades in the morning, and in the afternoon we just kind of took, it was kind of just a slower afternoon for us. I just took it easy. I didn't see any strong edges. I only like to trade when there's a strong edge in our favor. CYTR was, it's a junker, but it was starting to look interesting in the late afternoon, but it just didn't meet one piece of criteria that I used for my long trade, so I ignored that, and it did reject and fail into the close, and now it's rolling over, so that was an easy dodge. My entry at 1590 and Penny Flipper actually did a little better. I didn't know that he was in earlier, but just an awesome morning trade, guys. This is the kind of trade that makes your whole day. It could make your whole week. It's one trade. And that's why we stay so patient in between these big opportunities, is because you don't really want to be getting nickeled and dimed all afternoon on DVAX with no breakout, no additional volume, stuck in a range. And then when you find a trade like this, you don't want to just be making back, losses from all the chop that you took back here. So it's all about just waiting for those trades to line up, waiting for the right opportunity to enter the trade when the risk reward is heavily in your favor, and then just trying to maximize the reward. And going into that, I'm going to go over some good points about this trade. I'm going to go over, as always, some critical points as well. and I journal all my trades so I can make sure that I'm seeing what I'm doing and seeing, if there's ways I can maximize profits more. As you guys know, I have a very specific exit strategy that I use on momentum stocks, whether it's up or down, where I cover the last 1/4 or last 1/5 of my shares. It's a strategy that I use to help maximize profit potential. Just make sure that we're not covering too early. So the entry point in the stock, 1590. My final cover was actually 1490, and I did leave some on the table there. So I'm going to say first that the entry was, I think it was perfect. We're really on point with entries lately, So when you're really on point with one part of your trading, so let's say that your entries are always perfect, then obviously what you're journaling, what you're going to be doing with your journal is taking a screenshot of the chart at the end of the day, and then making sure that you're also maximizing and doing well with the exits. And I think the exits were good on this one. Some in the mid 50s, some near the 35 resistance down here, some at 1525, some at 1510. I kind of pieced it out in a lot more little pieces than I usually do. But my ultimate target was around 1490, and the reason why I covered it all at 1490 was because this just seemed like such a gigantic move, and it really sped up with volume in here. So I was kind of expecting that it would be a really nice fill if we could get somewhere between 1480 and 1490 out, and then look for sort of like a bit of a measure bounce back, and then maybe re-enter if the situation, if the situation looked good for it. But I covered the whole thing at 1490 on the rest of it, and with the intention to eventually re-enter at some point on a healthy bounce. So maybe I left a few on the table there, but at the end of the day here, if I'm following my normal strategy, this actually might end up getting my exit trigger might be around the same point anyway. So sometimes I will use some discretion. I just think that it was such a great move without much of a bounce at all. Sometimes I will just go ahead and say, you know what, that's a lock. Let's take it. So either way, guys, congratulations. Really nice trades this morning. And again, it only takes one. That's what I've been trying to say lately is I'd rather take less trades that have bigger profit potential as long as the risk is low on the entry and the reward is high. These are the kinds of trades I typically go for. I rarely find myself scalping much anymore or anything like that, just really looking for the big opportunities. So I'm going to go ahead and journal up that trade, guys. Congratulations. I mean, it was awesome that it was stock that's easy to borrow. Everyone can get a hold of it. And really nice outcome, guys. So remember, yesterday was a little slow in the afternoon. So again, just be defensive with your morning profits. I typically don't trade between 12 and 1 p.m. as a general rule of thumb, unless there's some really good volume in a certain stock or there's a special situation that's going to need our attention for a trade. But if things are just chopping around on low volume, save your mental capital, lock in your morning, and we'll be looking for hopefully 1 or 2 good trades after 1 p.m. today, guys. If you have any questions about the DVAX trade, I'm going to go into a lot more detail in our end-of-day webinar, as always, which will be recorded and posted on the website and in our chat in the webinars channel. All right, guys, have a great lunch, and we'll be back soon.